All right, let me be straight with you guys. If you watch all 10 tips in this video all the way through, it's going to change the way that you work in Luna for the better, whether you are just getting started after install or you're a seasoned veteran. I'll be showing you practical real-world workflow hacks starting right now with tip number 1. And that is printing the click track into your session as a WAV file. Now, the reason that this is so effective is because it just really gives you a quicker way to access the click track. Rather than going up into the little pop-out menu, you can actually just have access to it as a normal track in the mixer, which means if you're building Q mixes, you have control over it right in line as well. So let me show you how to do it really quick. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is obviously create a new track. We're gonna call this click track, and we can make it mono, that's fine. We're almost ready to go already. All we need to do is make sure that we turn off any sort of output to avoid a feedback issue. And then what we're gonna do is go up to our input source, and this is where the magic happens. We're gonna choose monitor left or right. It doesn't really matter which one. Once that's selected, I like to go to like a blank area in the timeline, right? Doesn't really matter where. From there, we're gonna arm the track, and we'll go ahead and make sure that our click itself is on, and we'll hit play and record. Now, you don't hear the click track, okay? Because 1, it doesn't have an output, and 2, it's not in our Q feed, which is what you guys are listening on right now. More on that in a second. Okay, we've got a good bit of click track here. Now, to get this through the whole session, it's really easy. First thing we need to do is turn off our input monitoring and bring back an output. We're gonna choose our main master track. And now I tab to transient and I press Command E to split the wave at the start of the transient. This is gonna make it so that this click track can align right on the grid. We'll go ahead and delete it. And now, since snap is on, once I click on this clip and drag it, it snaps right into place being on the grid. And what I'm gonna do is just do like 4 bars or so. What do we got right about here? We'll split the wave one more time and just discard this. And we'll copy this, delete it, go to the start, and we'll go ahead and just press V, Command V. Now we're gonna duplicate this a few times. Okay, cool. We're gonna copy this, then we're gonna duplicate that until we've filled up the whole track, okay? It's easy as that. Now you see that the click track is here in our session just as a track, and it's part of the mix, right? So if I hit play, right? It's just part of our session. Now this is obviously really cool, again, because if you were a performer, now I can bring this into your Q mix, and I have the capability to do so with my controlled surface right here in front of me. I'm controlling the send level, which you can see on your screen here. So now I have a tactile way of controlling my click for my performer. And it's just overall in a more accessible area within your session. All right, now if you're watching this video and you're thinking, I just wish someone would take me through Luna from start to finish, that's exactly what my official Luna Master Course does. We go from installation to executing deep pro-level techniques, fully structured, so every lesson builds on the last. And with long-term evolution, as Luna evolves, the course evolves along with it. No guessing, no searching, and no forum diving. The link's in the description. Now let's talk tip number 2. Okay, for tip number 2, let's talk about creating buses. Now, obviously, if you go to create a bus, you probably already know the shortcut for that. It's Command Shift B. But what you might not know is that there's modifier keys that can make creating the formatting around your bus a bit quicker. So if you hold Command and press the down or up arrows, now you can say what is connected to this bus. So by default, if you have a track selected here and you hit that shortcut, it's automatically going to assign the output of the selected track to the input of this bus. But what if you wanted that to be the sends, right? Like say let's create a snare verb track, right? So I've got my 2 snare tracks here, Command Shift B, Command down. Now I'm automatically attaching send 1 to this new bus. I hit enter and you can see that it automatically assigns the sends to that bus. That's a lot quicker than manually doing that. There's also other modifiers right within the sub menu. While you're holding Command down, if you actually use the left and right arrows, that's going to designate the stereo or mono formatting. The Option key up and down is gonna give you summing. Option key plus the command key is going to give you console designation. And if you hold shift plus command, you're gonna get the ability to cycle through your bus presets. More on that in another tip. All right, tip number 3 is fast cue mixes, okay? I get this question often in the comments sections, like how do you create a fast headphone mix if you're on Apollo and or if you're using Luna, etc. Now, if you're just on Apollo and you're using Logic, etc., look, I'm happy that you're in this video because this is obviously focused on Luna. But if you think about what does a performer need for a fast cue mix, right? They need the mix, they need themselves, and then they need maybe some verb or maybe some click, right? So let's show you how to do this really quickly and effectively. All right, so we've cleared out the cues, right? If I hit play, you're not gonna hear anything. So this is a very audible demonstration of how to build a cue mix quickly, okay? So to do this with my live audio, what I'm gonna do is actually jump into console because it's not really much different, right? I just don't have a track within Luna to show you my audio, all right? But it's no different, right? My mic is coming down this source and I can pull it down and now I'm gonna get really quiet, etc., right? So we're gonna start out with my mic source right about there, okay? Now, say this were me performing live and I was a performer in the booth, right? I've got my mic, I'm listening to myself, right? What's a fast way to get me the mix? Well, that's easy, okay? We just go to our main master bus and give the mix, right? Send some mix, all right? Now watch. Great, so we've got the mix, we've got myself, all right? Now, theoretically, myself would be like this track, right? The vocal track. And so like it would quite literally look like this. If we're coming down this lead vocal track with live audio, you do unity gain here, and then you would pull up the mix. Now we've got the mix, we've got the live vocal. Maybe we need some click track, right? Rather than having the click track come through the mixer, right? Hit play again. Got my voice, got the mix. Let's bring the click in. That's a really great reason to have the click track from earlier in line within the mixer. Now, say the performer's going, hey, look, I love the balance of all of this, but I need a little bit more acoustic guitar. Well, that's easy because now every one of these sources is simply going to add to the mix, okay? So let's say we wanted more acoustic guitar. Let's hit play again. Cool, very easy. Rather than rebuilding a headphone mix entirely from scratch by line checking each individual track and giving them their own custom mix, just send the mix and then tailor from there. All right, tip number 4 is faster track stacking by duplicating the track without content. So let's say I had this acoustic guitar track and obviously it's, complete, right? But let's say I wanted to do another layer or duplicate this track or double it, etc., right? And I really loved the chain. Well, rather than creating a new track and copying these plugins over, it would just be way faster to, literally duplicate this track without content. And there is a shortcut for that. And that shortcut is Shift Option D. You can see when I do that, it literally gives me the exact same track, right, with the same plugins. And even when I arm it, it even gives me the same plugin on that channel as well. So that's a really, really quick way of literally stacking tracks. If you were doing vocals, if you were doing electric guitar work, right? Of course, you could be in console tracking mode. That's a whole different workflow in general, but I find myself using that command all the time. It's even made its way onto my template for the SSL UF system. So duplicate your tracks without content for faster track stacking. Okay, tip number 5 is more of like a public service announcement. Get used to learning the essential shortcuts, okay? Like R and T, zooming in, right? You highlight a section to edit, you press the E key to expand that section, and you press the E key to collapse it back down. To arm a track, you press Shift R and Shift T to input monitor and turn it on and off. Command equals to jump back and forth between the timeline and the mixer, right? Command Shift N to create a new track, or Command Shift B to create a new bus. Command Shift I to create a new instrument track, right? Like this is essential workflow shortcuts, and I promise you that that's gonna make you work so much faster in your sessions, and it's really worth learning those. Okay, tip number 6 kind of gets into mixer theory and mix theory, right? But it's creating buses properly for a function in Luna called bus spill. Now, bus spill, what does it do? Well, the premise behind bus spill, when you click spill, right? It's gonna try to condense down your tracks down to whatever is feeding the master bus. But if you haven't created your buses properly and you haven't organized your session properly, it doesn't look like it does anything. So if we create some buses here to have some level of organization, we can condense down our entire mix to just a few faders. It's cleaner to look at, and sometimes it's even faster to mix that way too. So let's create some buses really quickly. Right, we've got all of our drums and perk. Let's go ahead and create a bus. We'll just call this D bus, and let's rename it, whoops, bass bus. Okay, AC bus, great. EGITs, keys. I'm just working extremely fast right now. Vox bus. Now just assume we had a bunch of vocals in there, vocal stacks. Cool. So we've got this entire session here. And if I were to click spill, now we've got our entire session consolidated down to just the buses, and that's really, really cool because now you're controlling everything about your mix with just a few faders. So I'll demonstrate this. I'll hit play. And the other thing is that you can spill these submixes, right? Or the subgroups. So if I wanted to submix my acoustic guitars, I hit spill there, and now I can see just the acoustic guitars, and that shows both the bus and then where that bus goes, which is the main master track. Now this is really a feature, again, spill is a feature of just Luna, so it's extremely useful to condense down that mix. I think that's really neat. And if you don't set your buses up correctly, the feature doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So make sure that you're setting up your buses correctly. Tip number 7 is extremely petty, but also extremely useful, and that's creating a bus from a preset exclusively for color coordination. If you're anything like me, color coordination becomes extremely important when you have these large channel counts. And so when you go to create a bus, right, it just assigns green to every single bus, right? So if I were to create this bus from scratch here, I'll call it D bus, and when I hit create, you can see this new bus that it created is green, and yeah, so I would have to manually go here and assign a new color. Well, let's just go ahead and delete that. All right, so we'll go ahead and create a new bus this time. And if you remember from earlier, we can navigate our presets right from this menu. So we can do Shift Command down and look for the correct bus preset that we want. And then we just give it a name, D-Bus. And boom, now you can see I have this new bus and all of the tracks have the proper color coordination. I can do this for my acoustic guitars as well. Use that same shortcut, Shift Command down while this menu is open. Call it AC bus. You still have to give it a name, but the color coordination goes along with it. And that is really, really handy for my own workflow. And I think it'll be really helpful for yours. All right, tip number 8 is a navigational shortcut. And this comes from a very real place. As some of you know, I do a lot of session work at studios, and they send me the files back as a Pro Tools file. I jump out of Pro Tools and I get these tracks that look like what you see on your screen, where it says 01 kick in, 01 kick out, 02 snare, etc., right? And those names are very useful in the tracking template in the session studios, but for me, I like them to be a bit cleaner. Normally, the slow way is you double click and you type your name, kick in, press enter, and then okay, you double click, right? Kick out. But there's actually a really easy way to move to the next track, and that is holding Command and pressing down. And now you can just rename snare top, Command down, snare bot, over, hats, rack, floor, ride. And I can just do this all the way through without having to double click through each one of these tracks. So that's a super, super quick tip and really, really useful if you have a lot of tracks to rename. That'll save you a heap of time. All right, tip number 9, this might be the coolest one yet. This is the master bus bounce workflow. So when you're getting ready to bounce out your master of your mix, right? A lot of people will just use the mix down workflow where you'll open this up, you'll choose your, your main track, and you'll say, oh, I want a wave, or I want, MP3, and then you export. Great. That's certainly still valid, but when you make revisions or you make changes to your master, is there a better way? And I'm here to tell you there certainly is, okay? So let's just, let's do a quick demo on this, right? So let's say this is our mix, we're happy with it. What I'm gonna do is highlight the portion of the track that I want to quote unquote print or export as a master. I'm gonna go ahead, just for the long way, I'm gonna show you here the long way to do it, right? We're gonna go up here to track, we're gonna choose bounce settings, all right? And we're gonna wanna make sure that in our bounce settings that we're choosing to keep the original source, okay? We're gonna wanna consolidate, that's fine too. And we wanna make sure that we have a new track for our bounce, all right? And then we can either choose range or tracks. This part kind of becomes irrelevant, but I'm gonna choose range. You can see here, it's going through the motions, it's bouncing it down to a wave. Once it's done, I now have a new track. It's a wave file of the mix. Now this is really cool. The tip's not over yet. I've got more to show you, right? We've got our main track here. What we're gonna do is now call this master print, okay? And if we open up our versions, this is really where the magic starts to happen, okay? We have version 1 of this track, and I can give this a name, like I can call it revision 1. All right, and now we have this print here. It's on revision 1. I'm sure you're saying to yourself, what is so special about this tip? Well, for one, I can quickly export this wave by using the clip export rather than the mixdown export. And that's cool because it's gonna be instantaneous, right? So if I just export this out as it is, I click export, it's already done. Okay, the heavy lifting has been done, but that's not where the magic comes in. Magic comes in when your client comes to you and says, hey, can I get the vocal up a bit more in this mix, the next version of it, right? You say, sure, no problem. So you come down here to this master print track and you add a new version and you call it vocal up, all right? And then you go back through and you do the same thing, right? Track, again, I'm just showing you the long way around, bounce settings. This time, instead of bouncing to a new track, you choose that same master print. It's gonna bounce it down. And now, as it's done, it's added the vocal up print right in this version lane. And so now you have 2 versions of the file. And this is great because you can now quickly recall, you can also have notes on your prints, your master prints. And it's all within the session. You don't have to have a separate folder in your Finder library. You don't have to try to write notes on the files, and it's all in your session, easily organized like so. And I usually take it one step further with mine, and I'll mute out the vocal and all the background vocals, etc., and I'll do another print, right? And this time I will do a new track. I'll do another print here for you guys. And once that's done, you can see it's another main bounce here. I'm gonna call this one instrumental only, all right? Cool, now I have an instrumental track lane to bounce out too, because it's pretty common when you deliver stuff, you deliver the master print, you also deliver and render out the instrumentals and stems and track outs, etc. You give them a whole package, but this becomes really, really quick and easy because, and it's cool because I can select both these clips and I can bounce them out at the same time if I wanna have the same format, like a WAV file or an MP3, right? Like that's really quick and handy. That's the master bus bounce workflow, and I find it to be so cool. You're keeping all of your master prints all in one spot. It's in the session itself, and you can keep notes on them, and you can go back to them if they say to you, yeah, I liked the vocal up version, but you know what, maybe the revision 1 was the best one. Well, great. Now you can give them that master bounce and build out all the packages for that version. Love it. It's great. All right, lastly, tip number 10 is committing your changes with ARA plugins in track versions. Now this one's a bit complex, and it's certainly a high level tip. It's something that I like to do, and it allows your ARA movements to be non-destructive. So let me show you what I mean. Here's our vocal here. Let's just say that I made a comp, right? This is the unedited vocal, and I'm even gonna call it that, right? Unedited vocal. And we'll go ahead and create a new version, and I'll call this one comp. Okay, let's just say this is our comp, right? And I'm happy with that. What I want to do is duplicate this comp, right? We'll go ahead and duplicate the track version. It now is the same, right? And I'm going to call this one Melodyne. Okay, now I'll go ahead and open up the ARA instance. We'll choose Melodyne. We'll just select a bunch here. We'll go ahead and just quickly tune it. Boom, you can see it's changing there. We'll hit OK. Great, this has been quote unquote melodyned. Now I want to commit this. And so what I'll do here is I'll change the algorithm back to monophonic. And it's going to say changing the warp algorithm requires the current processing to be committed or reverted. Please make a choice. I'm going to choose commit. And so now all of my changes have been committed to wave on this clip, and I have it in the version. All right, to quickly show you that this is actually what's happening here rather than actually tuning this vocal, what I'm gonna do is just go to the amplitude tool and make everything way louder. All right, and we'll go ahead and change this algorithm back to monophonic and commit one more time. All right, boom. So now you see very clearly that this has committed those changes to wave, and we've gotten rid of that extra processing. It's just a wave file, it's all committed, and we've retained our original comp and the unedited vocal all in one, and it keeps us from bouncing down a track with bounce in place too. So that's a super efficient way to utilize versions for your tuning and for your comping, and ultimately reduce your CPU usage after you're done processing with those tools. So there you have it, all 10 tips born from the practical knowledge you'll find in my official Luna Master Course, where we go from opening the program for the very first time all the way up to executing pro-level workflows like you saw in this demonstration. Fully structured, so every lesson builds on the last, and with long-term evolution, as Luna evolves, the course evolves along with it. Additionally, it also comes with both my StreamDeck and SSL control profiles, so you can use the same tools with the same workflows right alongside me. I'd love to help you out in your musical journey. I'd love to see your progress and catch up with you in the Studio Lounge course community. Until then, let me know in the comments what your favorite tip was, and be sure to like and subscribe for all things UA, Apollo, and Luna. I'll see you in another video. Cheers.